I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
You know, Sunday can't come fast enough when you have part 2 with Fred Melamed. Let's go.
Voiceover is becoming pretty mainstream thing. Like everybody's obsessed.
It used to be like you're a voice actor. What's that? Now it's
our little secret.
It was such a great secret for a long time. And like every few years, there'd be an article in TV Guide every 4 years saying the voices that make millions that you never see.
Yeah,
right.
And then there'd be a month where
nice.
people try and get in, and then it would be nice and quiet.
Yeah.
And now it's all different. The cat is out of the bag. But I must say, there didn't used to be this whole enormous separate cottage industry that now exists of people giving lessons and coaching and tapes and all that. And, you know, some of those, I have a somewhat jaded attitude, cynical attitude about that. I mean, there are some people I know who do a very good job. But I think there's an awful lot of people, this is my own feeling.
That do an awful job?
that prey on people who have aspirations to do this, and they don't really have a lot of good information to impart.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct, and this is true. And that's why it's so important that everybody plugs into a show like this so you get your information from credible people that are actually making things happen in the business. I tell the people that all the time. I have a question for you, since we're on the topic of giving people good information. What advice could you give the folks out there that are, you know, that want to have a successful voiceover business? What advice can you give them to get them going on the right track?
If they're very much at the beginning, you mean, or if they've been going for a while?
Let's say that they have a little home studio. They've been taking up, you know, some coaching and stuff, and they have, you know, their skills are there. They just need to be set on the right track.
Okay. Well, I have a general answer to that first, and it sounds like a bromide, but I actually mean it seriously.
Okay.
Decide whether or not greatness is for you and act accordingly. If you have something in your heart that tells you that you have greatness as something that's available to you or that might be available to you, pursue it. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Don't listen to anybody who's going to discourage you from it. And don't accept a set of things that you tell yourself that excuse you from having to give things your best effort. Don't ever waste an opportunity to do something well. That's the sort of general thing.
That's good, though. That's good advice right there.
You know, I remember my agent saying early on, a different agent, who I was with for a brief time, when you're reading an audition, burn the first take. Terrible advice. Terrible.
Terrible
that
advice.
Is not good.
Always make sure that the thing you don't want to feel is that you walked out of there or you submitted a tape and you go, well, it was okay, but it really wasn't. Better off not to submit it. Have a clear idea of what you want to do and pursue it with your full attention, your full effort, and make sure it represents you as best you can.
Absolutely.
Have a way of working. Have a method of working that works for you. Don't get lost in the sauce. Like, what kind of a microphone should I get? Will this cheaper Sonex do, or do I need the real thing? All that stuff is like this important. The thing that's really important is, how do I be good at this? And the answer to that is listen, make a study of things, see what you like. Listen to a lot of, you know, people who write books and make movies have to read books and go to the movies and see what's really good in movies. You really have to do that. It's the same thing with what we do. I think it's easy to get seduced by the idea that you can have this great career where you don't have to have a regular boss, you can have your own. All that stuff's besides the point. You have to have, one thing I've learned for sure is, no matter how good anybody is at this, everybody's replaceable. So you have to have something that you do that's really you. You know, you have to have your perspective, your mark, your style, your thing that makes them go, yeah, that girl has something that I
have to
need.
Have. Exactly.
Or that guy. So that's the most important thing. And I have personal feelings and prejudices about it too. Like, there's a lot of people doing very inexpensive work in the hopes of building a career. They go out and there's people that have websites where they bid for jobs, and then you wind up getting a job where you get $10 a tag or something like that.
That's crazy.
That is never, ever, ever going to lead to anything that's worth your time. You're going to spend more time and effort than you would if you had a straight job where you had a salary, and you're going to wind up thinking this is not fair.
Yeah, not to mention it's actually hurting you from actually ever being able to make good money, because you don't want to set.
And it's hurting the industry. I mean, it hurts the industry.
Ever.
If there's people that'll do a job for $10, they're like, oh, great, I can get some for $10 versus going by a certain standard.
Tell people the virtues. I'm a big guy for the unions, just because I've seen how they have grown and changed things and made things better. I realize that they're not available to everybody, but it's worth it to go put yourself on that track. In the long run, it will build your career and your ability to stay in the profession if you want to.
Right. Yeah. So I have a very good question for you, Fred. Maybe you can set the record straight here. True or false? In high school, you played lead guitar on a song called Puppet on a String.
I did. I did.
You didn't think we'd find that out, did you? Well, first of all, I didn't even know you played guitar, man.
Yes, I do play. I mean, I'm an amateur, not like you.
But still, I told Stacey, you play guitar on any song, you got to be good.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a record. I have one 45
have a record.
I'm on both sides of it. I have the A
That's
side and
cool,
the B side.
man.
I love it.
One record. And I was in many, many bands when I was a young guy. And I really, really enjoy playing. Unfortunately, I don't play so much now just because I have kids and I'm working and stuff like that. But I have a couple of really, really good guitars that I like to play. And my agent is very, very into like getting together and getting a slight buzz and with legal substances, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And
that, like we do here at VO Buzz Weekly.
Exactly.
Yes, right.
Good,
precisely.
clean fun. Good, clean fun.
And playing for fun, and that I really, really enjoy. My tastes in music are slightly more sophisticated than my abilities. Slightly. I mean, I'm a big Steely Dan kind of guy. I like sort of jazz and
love
stuff.
Steely Dan.
That kind of stuff, which is hard to play.
Absolutely, you got to be really great.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I.
It's always good to have something to reach towards.
To aspire.
Do you still play? Like, I mean, you still pick up that axe and once in a while and rock out?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. As a matter of fact,
really cool,
I brought my guitars out here when we moved. I have a 1965 ES335 that was owned by Alvin Lee. Remember Alvin Lee from 10 Years After?
Of course, man. Yeah.
I just had to have it reset up because it's much drier here than it is on the East Coast. So
it's going to change a little bit.
Right, change all that stuff. But I really do enjoy playing very much.
That's awesome, man.
You don't, as you know, to get better, you have to practice.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I don't have the time
to practice every day, or you'll stay just as good as you were.
Well, it's a catch-22, because if your guitar work is getting better, then maybe the career is slowing down. So I guess, if you're too busy to practice.
Good choice there,
it's
Fred.
a good thing.
All right, now I got to tell you something. My favorite show on the planet is Curb Your Enthusiasm. I am a Curb freak. And I love Larry David. You played Larry David's therapist on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, a tall order, believe me.
I understand.
Dr.
But what was it like working with Larry and the cast?
It was a total gas. First of all, I was a fan of that show myself and used to watch it before I ever met him or any of that stuff. I didn't know that show is entirely improvised.
I was going to ask you that.
It's entirely improvised. You get a little piece of paper, and it says, you're Larry's psychiatrist, and you sent Larry a bill for talking to him outside the office. That's all it says. That's it. And everything else you make up.
Yeah. So you came up with the whole George Lucas thing?
Oh, yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And what happens is you do, fortunately, it's not film anymore, it's all digital.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can do a lot of takes.
Yeah.
And the first couple of times you do it, at least me, I'm like, yeah. I'm trying to come up with something that's
something clever
and by take 4 I have an idea or two.
Exactly.
And then,
so funny though when he's disputing, you're like, no, and I love, and it's the same thing like you did in A Serious Man. It's like your voice. You're like, no. What I'm illustrating here? Like it's so funny. He's just like,
one of my favorite episodes is when he's walking down the street with Jeff. And he's eating a banana, and he's done eating it, and he throws the banana peel in somebody else's can.
Garbage can.
And this would only happen to Larry, right? It's like, hey, What are you doing?
That's my garbage.
What? It's biodegradable. And they get into a huge argument. It's so crazy.
And I'll tell you something about him that also shocked me, having never met him.
Yeah.
Not at all like that in real. The sweetest,
really,
most sweet, pleasant, easygoing, happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that he's happy all the time.
Yeah.
But what he actually said to me was that the writing part, where they actually come up with the kind of outlines and stuff, is difficult. But he enjoys the part where he's acting and putting everything together.
Yeah.
But very kind, generous, solicitous, really nice guy. And I used to think, here, this show is proof that you can have all the money that God put in the world and still be miserable.
Human being.
Right.
Yeah.
But in fact, he's a very, very lovely guy.
That's
very
so cool,
sweet
man.
guy.
That's really.
So you could do
great.
a stop and chat, and he would actually maybe do it.
I have told Stacey a million times, if I ever see Larry David in the street, if I ever see you in the street, I will go up to him and I'll say, Larry, I know you don't like to stop and chat, but I'm going to stop and chat. Just to see what he says, because he hates stop and chats, according to the show.
Yeah.
Anyways, congratulations on doing that, man, and having the opportunity to work with him.
And then recently we've seen you on The Crazy Ones.
Yes.
With Robin Williams.
Yeah, I recur on that show. I play a nasty voiceover artist.
Well, I was going to say, you're sort of this...
what is it with the nasty voiceover artist part?
Prima donna, you play yourself. That you're a prima donna, don't like taking direction. Now, did you have to... Is this really what you're like? Fred?
Yes.
Tell the truth?
It's like yes.
Yes, completely like that.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't believe it.
No, I mean,
you're stretching it.
You have to remember who's paying the bills, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I always try and do whatever is asked of me, but still keep it me.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't give up that it's you, because then you have no compass anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you were telling that them earlier when you were saying you have to find a piece of you that you can bring to the table, because that's the guy that's going to make the money. That's the guy that's going to get booked. That's the guy that people are going to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you need that to. And there's a weird paradox in our business, which is that it's very important to have confidence.
Yeah.
Problem is, when you have no experience or not much experience, how are you supposed to have any confidence? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You have to be the kind of person that's, in a sense, able to manufacture your own confidence.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, as you know.
Absolutely.
And one day I'll figure it out.
One day you'll figure it out.
Well,
that's good.
Darling on The Crazy One. So don't figure it out when you're on set.
Exactly.
It's so funny. Good.
Are there any other projects that you're working on now, or maybe some top secret stuff that you can't tell us?
Yes. There's not much that's top secret.
Can you talk about the film that you just finished?
Yeah, I have a couple of films that I just finished, but one might be of particular interest to you.
Okay.
It's called Get On Up. It's the James Brown story.
Oh,
it's the story of James
man,
Brown.
I heard that, yeah.
Which I had a great time, really interesting time making. Dan Aykroyd is in it. He plays a producer that I work with, and a guy called Chad Boseman plays James Brown, who's terrific in it.
Yeah.
And one of the very interesting things about this film is the executive producer was a fellow who was quite well known, though somewhat new in the film business, a fellow by the name of Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger.
So Mick Jagger was down there with us in Mississippi, and I got to be part of the excitement, the energy of
Were you in the entourage?
Man, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a sort of a general sense, very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And he, he actually knew James Brown, as did Dan Aykroyd, actually.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of it and part of the excitement of doing it. I play the guy who ran James Brown's record company. So I was there for all the live shows, all the recreation of the Tammy Show and all that stuff, which was mind-blowing. It was so good. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
And I actually saw James Brown a number of times when I was a kid. Yeah. I saw him at the Fillmore in New York and stuff. Man, that's so exciting. That's like really, really entertaining, that kind of stuff.
When is that coming out?
That will be coming out August 1st.
Awesome.
August 1st.
Oh, that's
August
great.
1st. Yeah. I'll have a big premiere and all that.
Yeah. What else do you have going on?
I have a series that's starting, a television series on USA called Benched.
Benched.
Right, which is about a young woman who's a lawyer, corporate lawyer, who has kind of an unfortunate breakdown at the law firm, who gets fired, and then she has to become a public defender. So she winds up having to defend people who don't speak English and who are indigent and poor, and she has a very different experience than dealing with the high-end Beverly Hills types that she's used to. So that's a new series that I'm in. I play a judge in that series. That'll be on. We're starting production, I believe, late March, early April. I think it'll be on during the summer.
That's exciting.
Awesome.
That's called Benched on USA.
That's
and then I have another movie that'll be opening later on in the fall with Pierce Brosnan called How to Make Love Like an Englishman.
Oh.
Wow. I think I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Pierce Brosnan, Jessica Alba.
Yep.
About a man who's a professor in England, and he comes to the United States because he gets a student pregnant, and he has to follow her, and he falls in love with somebody else while he's here.
Wow.
And he's kind of a ne'er-do-well
Just
guy.
one of those days.
Right, and then he learns to kind of be a better human being, or attempt to try and be a better human being.
That's fantastic. So you're working a lot, man.
Yeah, I've been very, very
No wonder you can't get better at guitar playing.
Yeah.
You've been in LA for a little while from New York. What do you think? What are the biggest differences or challenges or things you like about it?
The one thing that I was a little bit kind of apprehensive about was that it's such a completely work-obsessed town. You know, it's like, what are you doing now, or what's the last thing you've done?
How are you, which means, are you working?
How are you? What are you working on? Or, you know, how are things at yoga? And other than that, who gives a shit? Oh, I can't say that.
You can say that.
Okay.
You can say that.
It's and people are unapologetic. Unlike in the East, where that may also be true, people are somewhat unapologetic about that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so I thought, well, that's not going to be fun, because I like to have some friends who are like not in the business. I like to have some friends who are, you know, who do other things and all that kind of stuff. Probably just because I've been so busy, that hasn't been much of a problem. Also, I have a son with autism, so that was a big part of our move. He was in a great school, and we used to live out in the east end of Long Island in the Hamptons. He was at a great school, but he aged out of it. So we wanted to find a good school for him here in California, and we've recently had a big, very good thing happen to us with that, so that we're very happy about. That's a big thing. I have so many friends here, but a lot of them are friends from years ago that I went to drama school with, who came here like 30 years ago. So I have to kind of re-insinuate myself into groups of people that I knew way back, who I, you know, who I didn't see for years and years and years. I used to think California is too pleasure-loving. You know, and therefore I have to be careful, you know, because it's this sort of hedonism,
constant temptation.
But maybe because I'm older, or maybe I'm not so. I don't find it that way. I find people kind of the same as they are everywhere else. And I find people friendlier, and some people used to make fun of that and say, "Oh, well, it's the skin deep kind of friendly." But I don't know. I mean, like if you go into a store where we used to live, there's this attitude of like, well, you know, I have to wait on you? Like, you know, it's where as if you're somehow, you know, a little bit looking down your nose at the people. So therefore they resent it slightly. Especially in the Hamptons, where we used to live.
Well, the Hamptons is a whole... I spent a lot of summers on Fire Island.
Me too. Where? Ocean Beach?
Ocean Beach.
Seaview?
Yeah.
We had a house. My parents had a house in Ocean Beach. They built it in '46.
Oh, wow.
Right after the war. So I spent all my childhood summers there.
I know. I'd pull my little wagon. I loved it.
Me too.
Yeah, loved it.
How cute.
I loved it.
Anyway, so the differences are, you know, people are sort of friendlier. There is a great deal more concentration on what you present to the world. You know, people are more concerned, at least overtly, about how they look.
Right.
But, you know, okay. So that's part of, you know, that's part of life. And I'm at a time in life where I don't want to suffer any more than is absolutely necessary. So that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to do things that are hard. On the contrary, the great satisfactions in life also all you know, come from doing things that are, like people always say to me, "Are you having fun acting?" I don't have fun acting. I don't. I get a great deal of out of acting.
Yeah,
but it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's like asking a guy who's a surgeon, "Did you have fun doing that heart transplant?" It's not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's intensive, and it's when it works good, it's great.
Right,
It's intense. It's great. It's beautiful.
Right.
Good analogy.
But it's not fun for me.
Yeah.
But for some people, it is fun. But that's,
well, now you went back to Broadway in, what was it, 2011?
I did, very briefly.
And what was that like?
It was
very brief.
But did you feel any ghosts from the past of?
Well, I went back with the specific intent of facing something that had been very difficult for me.
Okay.
And I felt glad that I did it.
Yeah.
The experience wasn't one that was, super, because it was 3 one-acts altogether, one by Woody Allen, one by Ethan Coen, one by Elaine May.
Yeah.
And I had certain problems in the production, and I left to do another thing, and that wasn't entirely great. But the thing that I wanted to do was go back before a live audience, in front of a very big live audience.
Yeah.
I did do, and I felt gratified and happy that I got the chance to do it, and I liked doing it,
Yay.
Actually.
I'm glad.
That's beautiful.
So that was good.
Good.
That's fantastic.
You have good closure.
Absolutely.
Well, the door may not be closed. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I mean, I was glad that I got this. And then after that, I was in a production of Uncle Vanya, which is a great Chekhov play, not in a Broadway theater, but a much smaller theater. But that's a very, very big role, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
That was a great, joyous thing to do.
Very, very cool, man. What are you most proud of?
In life?
Yeah.
Gosh. I hate to give such a stock answer, but
don't give me a real one.
But the stock answer happens to be true. Okay. The thing I'm most proud of is 2 things. One thing is having overcome difficult beginnings. I had a difficult early life, and been able to, sort of do whatever I've been able to do. And the other thing is I'm very, very proud of my children. They're good. In addition to being, my children, and everybody likes their children.
Yeah.
They're very sweet, good-natured, kind, hard-working human beings, and I enjoy being with them in some deep way.
That's great. How old are your children now?
11. They're just 11.
Oh, and they're twins.
Yeah, twin boys.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, and you and your lovely wife Leslie, who we had the good pleasure to meet, you guys are huge advocates for families that are affected by autism.
Yeah, we try to. It's and nowadays it's as you are aware, and probably everybody out there, it's an extremely common state of affairs. Yeah. Shockingly so. I mean, even out of my, just to give you an example, I went to Yale Drama School. I got out in 1981, so everybody is more or less my age, the same age as me.
Yeah.
In my class, there were 12 people. It's a really tiny school. 12 actors, right? Of those 12, 6 wound up having children. Of those 6, 3 have children on the autism spectrum.
Wow.
That's 3 out of 12.
Yeah.
That's 25%.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
That's
man.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So there's a whole other discussion. But there's something going on both with genetics and some other cofactor, environmental factor, which nobody yet knows what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
no, it's definitely something that we were talking about, something similar with cancers, and I mean, it just seems like there's so many things, and autism is one of them that you never heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, some people have thought that maybe we're more sophisticated with diagnosis, which is of course true.
It is.
But I don't think that's the whole answer.
That's right.
I don't think so. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. I'm also proud of since you asked that question.
He's proud of a lot of stuff here.
Well, I am. I'm proud of the fact that I got to do something that I dreamt of in life, instead of being a person who always had a dream to do it and just didn't have the courage or the good fortune or the whatever to do it. Because I know a lot of people are in that position.
Yeah, and you should be.
Yeah.
It's a big accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment, and it's also a joy.
Yeah.
It's a real joy.
Yeah.
My grandfather told me when I was a kid, choose something to do that you like, because you spend a lot whatever your job is.
Yeah.
And that was very good advice, as simple
was,
as it
right?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's really cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Chuck and Stacey, since you asked me that question, I'm just curious how you would answer that question. What are you proudest of?
Oh.
Well, we never have cards turned around like that.
Well, Fred,
you know what? That's a really good question. And
it is. It's a loaded question. We are aware of it when we ask it.
Yeah. You know, I would have to say that for me, and it's funny because I was just having a conversation with somebody a couple days ago about this, but one of the things that I'm most proud of for me, I mean, I've been able to accomplish so many things in my life that are really, really cool. You know, dreams that are really, really cool. But I think that the biggest thing that I'm proud of is that I didn't come from the perfect family, you know? And that's not what I'm proud of, but I didn't come from the perfect in fact, my father left my mother because she was having me. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And those are things that could really, really destroy somebody. Of course, I didn't know that until later on in my years, and I did get to meet my father when I was 18, but it didn't affect me. I wasn't like, wow, because this happened to me, I have to be a certain way. I was never like that. I was always like, you know, I want to live a full life. I want to be happy, regardless of what goes around me. You know, regardless of if my dad's an alcoholic or was a bad father, or if, you know, nothing else is perfect, you know, while you're growing up, I was able to not focus on any of the bad stuff that was around me and just focus on the good stuff, you know? And so that's what I'm most proud of, and I still continue to do that today.
I think that's a similar answer to the answer that I gave.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about you, Stacey? If I'm not
I think.
Wait a minute, I stole your answer?
No, it's a good similar answer.
Plagiarized your answer. No, it's good. But similarly, I mean, I'm proud of the fact that I am, as long as I am breathing, I persist without exception, and I have belief in myself, and I can get knocked down. And I get up, and I always know I'm going to land on my feet, and I'm always going to get back up.
That's beautiful.
And push forward, because I feel like I've been given talents, I've been given opportunities, and it would not be grateful for me to not completely just go for it and do what I can do and make the most of it. So I'm proud of knowing that that nothing's impossible, and I can do it.
That's a wonderful. Those are both wonderful answers. By the way,
he's like, by the way, you stole my answer.
By the way, I was going to say that.
No. There's a very famous piece of research that was done by Harvard. This is something that might be of use to your.
That you also went to for your PhD.
No, I just read this.
Yes.
They tried to ascertain what made people successful. They did very long, lengthy interviews with people that are successful in all different fields. And the only unifying thing that they could find about people that were successful in medicine, in literature, in the arts, and everything was the people who succeeded kept trying. They failed, they were discouraged, but they didn't stop. That was the one unifying thing.
Yeah.
They got back up.
Yeah.
Everybody gets knocked down. You have to get back up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fred.
Wow.
Thank you for being here.
What a cool
Gosh, it's my
episode.
pleasure.
I've learned a lot from you, man. I really have.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I've enjoyed it tremendously.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your amazing life. And we are such supporters. We wish you so much abundance in your family and your career. I mean, you're just such a blessing.
Absolutely.
That's very kind of you.
And maybe when you finish some of your movies that you're working on right now, you're going to come back, share with us a little bit more.
I'd love to.
Maybe bring some of your friends. Hey, bring your guitar, and we'll have a jam session.
I'll bring my guitar. Maybe I can get Mick to come down.
Well,
that would be nice.
You have to say,
my ratings might go up.
Right? He's got to wear the fabulous leggings. But Fred has the most. He smells so good.
He smells good. That's what I told him when he got here. I go, listen, people aren't going to be able to smell you, man. They can just see you, but thanks for coming and smelling so good.
Handsome.
You do, man.
That's what you smell like.
I have to do something
when you do your fragrance. your fragrance should be called Handsome.
By Fred
Melamed.
Yeah, there you go.
Very kind.
Well, thank you for coming down and sharing with us, man. We totally
Thank you.
appreciate it.
It's a total pleasure.
You guys, we know you totally got buzzed with us.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week with another awesome show.
Hi, I'm Fred Melamed, and I just got buzzed with Chuck and Stacey. Had a terrific time. What a really fun show, especially for people that are interested in voiceover and the people who do it, like me. Remember, when you get knocked down, get back up again. That's all there is to it. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Bye.
Well, that concludes our two-part episode with Fred Melamed. You guys be sure and tune in next week, because we will, for sure, have another awesome episode for you.
Yes, we will. And don't forget to get In a World on Amazon or iTunes. Go to inaworldmovie.com for more info. We'll see you on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, you guys. And just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.